Okay, so let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at a story that really tests the very definition of a marriage. It asks this huge question. When a lifelong partnership is shattered, not by choice, but by a health crisis, does the law actually have the right to step in and force a division of everything that couple built together?
I mean, just imagine it for a second. A couple married for 40 years. They've built a home, a life, a whole shared future. Then, all of a sudden, a terrible illness means one of them needs permanent professional care. So now they're physically living apart. But here's the real question. Does that mean their marriage is actually over? Because for this couple, this wasn't just some hypothetical question. The wife's adult children from her previous marriage saw this physical separation as an opening. They filed a lawsuit, demanding that the family home be sold and every single asset be divided right then and there. And this single, heart-wrenching question would travel all the way to Australia's highest court, setting the stage for a decision that would completely change family law.
To really understand the stakes here, we need to meet the people at the center of this storm, the Stanfords. We need to see the quiet, carefully planned life that was about to be completely torn apart.
You know, what's so fascinating about this timeline is that it's not just a list of dates, it's really a portrait of a very thoughtful and pragmatic couple. This was a blended family, and they made a very deliberate choice to write separate wills, making sure their own children were provided for. That shows this deep, mutual respect they had for each other's pasts. This was their agreement, their shared plan for decades, and that long-standing peace wasn't broken by them. It was broken by illness, and then by a lawsuit that threw their entire life's arrangement into question.
What happened next was this insane journey through the court system, and this is where the story gets really wild. Because as you're about to see, every court that looked at this case had a stunningly different idea of what was fair.
At first, things looked really, really bad for the husband. The trial court actually sided with the stepdaughters. They ordered him to pay out over $600,000. Now, for an elderly man living on his own, this wasn't just some number on a page. It was a verdict that meant he would lose his home, the home he'd lived in for decades. His whole world was about to be sold out from under him.
So he fought back, he appealed, and the next court saw the whole situation with completely fresh eyes. They overturned the ruling, calling it unjust, and they pointed to a simple, crucial fact. The husband was already paying for all of his wife's medical care and all her needs. She wasn't being neglected. So why on earth would you force him to sell his home? For a brief moment, it looked like common sense had won. The story seemed over.
But it wasn't, not by a long shot. Two things happened that changed everything. First, tragically, Mrs. Stanford passed away. Then, the very same appeal court that had just saved the husband's home issued this truly bizarre new order. They ruled that, yeah, the money should still be paid, but it should be paid to the wife's estate, and only after the husband himself passed away. I mean, this was a solution that helped absolutely no one. It just created this legal time bomb for the husband's own kids and satisfied neither side. The whole tangled mess was now headed for the highest court in the land.
So you see, the case had moved way beyond just one family's money. It had become a national debate about the very purpose of family law. Is its job just to mechanically chop up assets, or is it supposed to do something, well, more human? And this slide just lays out the two powerful, competing ideas of justice perfectly. On one side, you have the husband's argument, which was simple. Our marriage wasn't broken, it was hit by a tragedy. My wife is cared for. There was no just reason for a court to interfere. But the stepdaughter's argument was also really compelling. They said, for 40 years, our mother contributed as a wife and homemaker. That work created a moral right to a share of the assets, a right they believed she shouldn't lose just because of sickness and death. So let's get to the final verdict. How did the nation's top judges solve this seemingly impossible dilemma?
The answer was breathtakingly clear. The husband didn't just win. The High Court gave him a complete unanimous victory. And they went even further. They said this lawsuit was fundamentally flawed from the very beginning and should never have even been started.
And in their ruling, they created this powerful new framework for all future cases like this. Think of it like a new front door. Before a court can even think about dividing a couple's property, it now has to stop at step 2 and ask this critical question. Is it actually fair and right for us to interfere at all? The power to alter people's lives isn't automatic anymore. And in the Stanford's case, with a marriage that was still intact and a wife whose needs were being met, the answer to that question was a clear, resounding no. This quote from the final judgment, this is the heart of the whole thing. The court drew a bright, crystal clear line in the sand.
A separation that's forced by sickness is not the same thing as a marriage that's broken down by choice. And for the first time, the law was officially ordered to respect that profound human difference. Okay, so what does this legal battle from years ago mean for the rest of us today? Why does this story actually matter, beyond just the people involved? Well, this case gives us some incredibly valuable lessons. It confirmed that as long as a marriage is still together, the law will honor the couple's private understandings, just like the Stanford's wills. It also made it clear that while a lifetime of contribution is vital, it's not some kind of financial claim you can just cash in at any moment. That only becomes a factor if a marriage actually ends. And, critically, it sent a message that family law isn't a shortcut for heirs to get an early inheritance. Its job is to protect the people in the marriage, right now. And that leaves us with this final, really crucial thought. The High Court, in the end, acted to protect the private agreement between two people that had stood for 40 years. It's a powerful reminder that legal documents, like wills, they aren't just about planning for death. They are your voice during your life. They are how you tell the world and the law what your intentions are, so that a court never, ever has to guess.